Hard to believe it is almost May. So glad you all could take some time out of your Thursday to join us. Hoping you can spend several sessions with us, but whatever you can do and share your time, we appreciate it. We are, I think, officially recording, and we will get started in just about a minute. Please feel free to say hello to each other. Share in the chat what inspires you in your work with teens. The sign-in sheet is also right there for you to complete with your email. That's really important so that you can get your CE forms and all the information. I will use the sign-up sheet with those emails to follow up with all of you. And there's also some instructions about a Padlet that we're going to talk to you about. The Padlet is a way we're hoping that you can connect with each other after today and share emails and connections with others that share interests that you have. And if you've not used a Padlet before, once you go to the link, you can just click on the little plus sign in the bottom right corner and add a little post about yourself. There are some instructions there in the chat. And if you are interested, you can do that anytime during the day today to share your information and help you make connections with colleagues. Still letting some folks in. This is so exciting. Yay, but it is 9:31, so we are going to get started. This is a full day, and we want to make sure we maximize all our minutes together and are respectful of your time. So I'm going to let some folks keep their eye on the waiting room. If you all can let in any other attendees, that would be wonderful. And I'm going to get us started. So welcome to the Maryland 2022 Spring Teen Connect Conference. We are so glad that you are able to join us today for this virtual event. Some of you may have been with us last April when we hosted Teen Connect Week. And we also came together last October when we held Teen Reconnect to help us re-engage with our teens as we were opening back up and trying to refine and reconnect with our teens. The sign-in sheet has been posted in the chat a few times. I know Carmen's going to pop that in again for you. For those of you who are just joining, please make sure that you sign in so that you receive credit for this session and for all the different sessions today. We will share that sign-in sheet with you often at the beginning of each session. Today's virtual event is an extension of our learning last year as we continue to think about our teen services. It is our hope that through the sharing and discussion today about teen spaces, programs, readers advisory, and teen engagement, we can continue to enhance our services for and with teens. Feel free to introduce yourself in the chat with your name and what library system you are from. And as a quick motivator to get us going on this day of learning about teens, please also post in the chat your response to this question. What inspires you in your work with teens? While you are doing that, let me introduce myself and the Teen Connect planning team. My name is Carrie Sanders. I am the Youth Services Coordinator with the Maryland State Library Agency, and it has been a pleasure to work with the Teen Connect Planning Committee these last several months in the planning of today's event. A huge thank you to Tyler Chadwell English, Frederick County Public Libraries, Carmen Jessup, Howard County Library System, Bill Stay, Charles County Public Library, Isaiah West, Prince George's County Memorial Library System, Kevin Jace, Baltimore County Public Library, and Anita Delp, Cecil County Public Library. We will all be helping out in the different sessions throughout the day. For this spring 2022 Teen Connect, we bring you sessions about teen spaces, building sustainable programs and how to create teen programs step by step, advanced readers advisory for teens, and overarching everything teen engagement. A huge thank you to our co-panelists for sharing their time, knowledge, and experience today regarding these topics. Our co-panelists are, for teen engagement, Christina Dare, Baltimore County Public Library, Isaiah West, Prince George's County Memorial Library System, and Elizabeth Mayer, Newcastle County Public Library of Delaware, and formerly of Cecil County Public Library. For claiming a space, we have Laura Lee Bidwell and Katrina Threat from Anne Arundel County Public Library, and William Wallace from Wicomico Public Libraries. Sustainable programming will be Tyler Chadwell English and Eileen Foley Breck, both from Frederick County Public Libraries, Jake Cherapika, Baltimore County Public Library, and Tori George, Calvert Libraries. Co-panelists for programming Step by Step this afternoon are Tia Jennings and Jessica Woods from Baltimore County Public Library, and Deborah Basilovich from Howard County Library System. Advanced Teen Readers Advisory this afternoon, our co-panelists will be Sharon Lanasa from Anne Arundel County Public Library and Britt Presley from Calvert Libraries. Thank you all. We are so excited for you to be with us today. The teen engagement session starting at 10:30 is a standalone session that everyone can attend. This session will be held right here in this Zoom room. After lunch, there will be 2 sessions offering a couple options in each for you to attend. After those 2 sessions, we will close our day. We will come back together again at 3:10 for some resource sharing, a lively young adult smackdown session, and an opportunity to hear from some teens. All slides and resources available to support our sessions will be available on the Teen Connect website, and we will drop the Teen Connect website into the chat for you throughout the day. Speaking of teen voices, if you attended Teen Reconnect last fall, you remember that we closed the day with a video capturing the audio of teens' expressed thoughts, worries, and challenges they have experienced in these last 2 years. We thought we would share that video one more time with you today to help frame our day in case you either didn't hear it last fall or you would like a remembrance of the voices of those teens. So I'm going to turn the stage here over to Bill. Oh, now I see all your faces. It's great to see you all since I'm not sharing the screen anymore. And I'm going to let Bill get us teed up for our Teen Voices video from last fall. Thank you, Bill.
So my favorite part of the library is the sense of community that it creates and just the happiness that I gain from that.
I like the staff here. Everybody's nice. It's just like good people to be around.
I really like the Children's Cove because there's a lot of graphic novels that I like to read.
Well, before the pandemic, coming here for the snacks.
It's definitely your office. Over the years, I was at least 7 or 8 years old, and I was definitely in the library a lot because my mom was working more than one job, and she had to come to the library to print stuff a lot. So when we were here for about 2 to 3 hours a day, and I would get very bored because Roblox, it doesn't fill my sufficiencies all the time. So I would come talk to you, and we would just keep on talking until you either had to go back to work or I had to go. And it was pretty fun.
My favorite library story is my brother and I used to go to the library a lot, not for the books, but rather for the computers to play ABC Mouse on back when we were young.
Every time I would go to Laurel Library, since it was renovated, I would always go to the vending machine just because I would love to like get snacks and just eat and like read my favorite books there.
Yeah, a lot more like the opportunities and things like before they had like the virtuality things and the homework club and the science lab. But then after quarantine, most of it got shut down. So bringing those back could probably bring more people to the library.
I think that they should recontinue the snacks because the vending machines are most reliable. Yeah, and sometimes they steal your money.
I would love for the library to implement a little bit more of SGA into it, and kind of connect and make more connection through it for more students to be involved in that as well, and for communities to come together.
I would definitely want more virtual activities. I think for me at least, going in person, and because I do so many activities after school, like that are already in person, it makes it very difficult for me to partake in activities that are in person at the library. So definitely having more online activities would be amazing.
The hardest part of the pandemic has been this blue light.
I'm figuring out how to do school online because I'm a social person.
Because with virtual school, they didn't really teach us things. They more just assigned us work and then told us to do it.
I think that the hardest part of the pandemic was being able to cope and being by yourself all the time.
The hardest part of the pandemic has definitely been my social life. I've definitely become an introvert.
Staying home. I felt isolated for a while because waking up to see the same house, same structure every single day got tiring. And then after a point, my family and we didn't have a relationship because I was always going outside and hanging out with my friends before the pandemic. So it was really hard to maintain that relationship and just having to stay there with them all the time. And then after a while, it became toxic, and there was just nobody I could really talk to. So I had to learn to talk to my family before going straight to my friends because it took a long time to learn that family's more important than friends.
Getting back to like how it used to be, because most of the time when I had a computer work to do, I just me like into the library because I couldn't really do it at home because I didn't have a computer at home. But now that they like gave us computers, I can really just do my homework at my own pace.
I was kind of sad with the library being shut down for a little while since like I used to come here very often. So it not being here made me and some of my friends kind of sad since we used to come here like every day, even on the weekends. That's just a place to hang out and have fun.
We were in the house for like 500 something days. I don't remember how much exactly, but I know it was over 500. And during those like 500 days, it's like I didn't remember anything, and then all of a sudden we're just back to school.
If I had questions and I had to ask the teacher, she'd have to like mute, and then I'd have to say something, or I couldn't really talk on the teacher like in private.
What have I learned from the pandemic? A lot about medicine, a lot about COVID itself, the S protein, things like that.
It's really hard. Like that interacting with like other people is very important because having to stay inside a lot and like only interacting with like family and like only contact your friends on like devices is really hard, and like you get not touch starved, but you miss that interaction of other people.
I have learned from this pandemic that not always having something to do isn't a bad thing. I've been really able to spend some quality time with my family that I haven't been before the pandemic.
I feel like it's really weird, but I feel like it's almost like a social media ecosystem. I know at least myself, I've learned about the pandemic from online. I've learned almost everything I know about the pandemic online from social media and Google and all these other sites. And it's really crazy to see how something that may have happened, like a crazy story about COVID or anything else happening during the pandemic, could have happened continents away. Yet it still may keep me up at night and make me think. So it's cool, and it's, like I said, an ecosystem. There's pros and cons, but it all functions in one circle of how much of a impact we have on each other even when we're not in person.
I would definitely have to say is being online for a very long period of time. That's why being in person, especially at a community like the library, and it's so calm and quiet, is super duper important.
A lot of people from school who are like, oh yeah, we're friends, right? But then when they came down to it, they just talked to me at school, like if it's just a thing to do. The people who like actually talked to me consistently throughout the quarantine are people who I knew like, oh yeah, they're my actual friends. same with the librarians, because like when I came back, even though I look pretty different than how I did before, I'd say all of them remembered me, so it was still cool to talk to the people who I talked to like years ago.
I shouldn't take my time for granted because before the pandemic, as I said before, I could go outside, do anything. But then it came to a point where I couldn't go outside at all. And then when I could go outside, I had to go outside with a piece of clothing over my face, a mask. And at certain times I felt like not just I was isolated in my room, but like I couldn't show my face, I couldn't breathe, I couldn't do anything. So I would have just stayed inside, but then I had to learn to live with it because obviously if I don't wear a mask, that could cost my entire life.
Thank you, Bill. It's so powerful. Every time I watch that, I'm struck something new strikes me that I might not have picked up on before. So I'm just hoping for all of you that was maybe your first time to hear that and to just experience the genuine expressions and challenges and worries and thoughts of our teens, and or it's something that you refreshed and heard for a repeat, but something to just maybe frame us and inspire us as we get started today. Thank you so much for all the things that you've been sharing in the chat and what inspires you with our teens. Just so glad that we can come together today and continue thinking how we can support them. So I am now going to just do a really quick share to introduce the next part of our day. We are so excited that Tyler will be with us to give us a little bit of a preview. Special thank you to Tyler Chadwell English, one of our planning team members, who will be sharing this preview of the day so that everyone gains a few highlights of all of today's sessions. You obviously need to make some choices this afternoon. So we wanted to do just this little preview to let you all get a little snippet of all of the sessions. Tyler is a teen librarian and volunteer coordinator for Urbana Regional Library and the Frederick County Library System. And welcome, Tyler. He's going to just give us a little sneak peek to all the sessions and get us started looking down the road to the rest of today. So I'm going to stop sharing, Tyler, so that you can share, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks so much, Carrie. I really appreciate it. All right, here we go. All right, so thank you for that introduction. Again, my name is Tyler Chadwell English, and I just wanted to preface what I'm about to say as this is meant to be a preview of the topics being covered today. This is my interpretation and commentary on these basic teen topics and not representative of the co-panelist presentations that will occur in the sessions. This is meant to give you a taste of the topics of the day and to give us some common knowledge to begin considering how these ideas may correlate with the situations we experience within our own system. The presentations you will experience throughout the day will have specific examples on these topics from their own systems. Our topics were chosen by data and commentary we collected at the end of our Fall Teen Reconnect conference. While we are unable to cover every nuanced issue that appeared in those survey results, we have done our best to highlight ideas that combine and address the interests of our colleagues that our colleagues wanted to hear more of. So the first slide is on teen engagement, and I don't want to speak too much to this topic because we all have the opportunity to attend this session, which has an incredible panel of experts. But I do want to address some of the subjects that we found in our survey results. One of the big ones is marketing, which I know that they're going to address. Here's just a little infographic on some factors that I think are important when considering marketing. So targeted marketing through social media posts, Facebook community groups for parents. When you want to reach out to teens, you also kind of want to reach out to their parents. So you join all your Facebook groups in your community and post information there. And then you get your teen volunteers and teen advisory councils to post on social media, their own social media, and that helps spread word. Many of you expressed interest in hearing about how to overcome disinterest. And one of the ways that I think that that's possible is to find a need and fill it. You know, do your teens need service learning hours? Will after school snacks catch their interest? Try offering technology, or what I call big kid toys, which is like Spheros and computer editing software, or even musical instruments that they can't get elsewhere. And also, I think it's important when we're talking about teen engagement to meet the teens where they are. It's important to have a present marketing materials in the place teens congregate. So school media centers are a natural partnership for most public libraries, and that's one way to meet them where they are. Similarly, when you're doing outreach, you want to make sure you have a presence where the teen are: schools, skate parks, shops, community events. You want to be where they're going to be. And of course, you're all going to get a chance to hear more about that from our standalone session here at 10:30. We're also going to be addressing claiming a space today. And when we discuss claiming a space, I see it as both carving out specialized spaces for teens and for advocating for the library to be recognized as a safe and welcoming space for teens to learn and explore. This slide illustrates what I call the evolution of teen patrons. Many of our teen patrons begin as children bought by their parents, who are often the base demographic public libraries work to appeal to. Those children grow into teens. And it's important to emphasize that teens are patrons too, and have as much right to be in the library as anyone else. And to see the library as a resource, just as any other patron does. And teens are patrons who very shortly become adults, whose teen experiences inform whether or not they feel comfortable using the library. As adults, they decide whether or not the library is a positive space to expose their children to. Thus, teens are integral to full family initiatives as any other group. So another issue that was asked is to talk about some buy-in. So admin buy-in can be a tough sell if you aren't already supported, but some ways you can engage admin on the importance of teen patrons is by reminding them that they will soon be adults in our community with families and in positions of power. And it's good to sell teens as the future of libraries. We often think of small children as the future of libraries, which is true, but it doesn't stop being true while they're teenagers. Empowering staff to have positive interactions, as again, teens are patrons too, deserving full use of the library resources. And when you approach teens in a positive way, the outcomes are also often positive experiences. If you have persistent teen issues, I would suggest working with staff to begin recognizing and engaging teens who frequent the library. Teens, in my experience, tend to be less difficult when they aren't anonymous. So knowing their names and engaging with them when you see them helps them feel like the library is a place where they partially belong, and they take ownership of it that way. And finally, everyone deserves a space and time at the library, and each population has its unique challenges and needs, and claiming a reoccurring special space and time for teen patrons is really important to a positive teen experience at the library. If you want to hear more about claiming space, please attend our session 2A at 1 p.m. It's going to be one of our 2 afternoon sessions, and Laura Lee Bidwell and Katrina Threat and William Wallace are all going to be speaking on these topics. The next subject I wanted to talk about was sustainable programming. We're going to be covering that today as well in the session that I'm going to be a part of, session 2B at 1 p.m. And so this is just a little teaser, and again, sustainable programming, from my perspective, is typically seen as successful programming. And I've defined success here by the value teens take from our programs and the retention of our monthly attendees as they move from 6th through 12th grade. I have come up with 4 factors that contribute to sustainable, effective teen programming in our system. And those factors are teen time, as I kind of mentioned before, establishing specific day and times for teen programming that you can keep consistent from week to week or month to month, so that even if teens aren't really paying attention to what programs you're putting out, they consistently get, they know they can count on that time. And then there's interest. Teens and tweens show up for programs they're interested in, so it's important to know your population. And surveys is one way that my system has created data on what our teens are interested in. And of course, you have your tab teen library councils that you will also be polling and getting their knowledge base for interest on. And of course, there's boons, and we all know how well food can work as an incentive. But there's also creating opportunities for teens to get service learning hours, which is really important in our community. And of course, like I said before, offering teens tech and toys and equipment they might not get elsewhere. And then there's space. Again, sometimes teens just want a place to exist or to socialize. So creating a clean a hangout space for them, even if it's a passive program for teens to enjoy. And consider teens and tweens might not want to inhabit the same space at the same time. So if it's possible, creating specialized time for each or specialized spaces for each might help as well. And again, that's session 2B at 1 o'clock. So programming step by step, I thought of as brainstorm. We came to from the survey results as folks wanting to know how to sort of brainstorm teen programming. And you're going to hear a lot of great ideas later on this afternoon about this, but I put some thoughts to the slides for you. And those are, one way to brainstorm teen programming is through mind mapping, which is what you see on your screen now. This may seem elementary, but once you begin writing out your ideas in this fashion, you'll be surprised how often new ideas or ways of creating programs will spawn from this type of visualization. I use 4 basic components when building teen programs for my branch. First is considering the needs and wants of my specific population, trying to offer what my teens have expressed wanting to experience when participating in library programming. Sometimes through casual observation and good listening skills, we will uncover needs of the communities that we can fulfill, like having a space for teens to just hang out or providing a place where they can get tutoring for classes. I tap into these needs and wants by listening to the teens in my Teen Library Council and by hearing what community and business partners are willing to offer, and by conducting digital surveys offered both in the library itself and taken to teens through outreach at the schools. The next component I consider is an essential one to making it happen, which is how my ideas on the needs and wants of teens align with the institutional requirements of my system. I do this by obviously having conversations with my supervisors and other teen colleagues, but even before that, by keeping in mind our system-wide vision for programming, the mission and scope of our programming goals, the guidelines our administration have set, and by how what I propose might be affected by the staffing in my building. That isn't to say that there aren't times when we propose things that expand any of those areas of service, just that successful programming keeps those factors into consideration. On the more practical side is the materials component. In this, the obvious physical material of supplies you may need for the program, especially for arts and crafts type programs. I also include in this category time and space. Time is relative, but it is a factor in how much time it will require you to put together or to be away from service points. Many systems allot programmers time away from service points to work on or put on programs, but that time may be limited due to staffing or other logistical issues. Similarly with space, while we may want to give teens all the space they may need or want, we still may not be able to have certain programs due to limited space. You shouldn't let these factors keep you from brainstorming. As in the case with space, it may be that you would just need to find a partner location perfect for your program, and with support of your supervisors, this can open up an array of opportunities for you and your teens. Finally, we get to the nitty-gritty components of programming planning, and that's to categorize your program based on its frequency, longevity, and type. And I go into more detail on the next slide of that. Try not to be scared by these huge infographics. You will have access to all these slides. You can come back and look at them. The team programmers at my branch have adopted a connected lib approach to our programming mission. Many of you have likely attended statewide trainings where you learned this approach, which I'm going to boil down to the simplest idea of offering different opportunities to teens to try out new interests with low commitment. This is greatly simplifying this idea, but it boils down to allowing them to pick up and try as many different interests without having to invest a great deal of money or commitment to any one thing. Research has shown that this is a great way for teens to find what they are passionate about. In creating connected lib-based programs, we consider community needs, community wants, building skills, and creating opportunities. When brainstorming group teen programs, I group teen programs into 4 main categories. The first is clubs or regular programs. Programs we may have on a recurring basis with repeat attendees that focus on topics of interest like gaming, anime and manga, writing, or book clubs. To enhance the success of these programs, we focus on making the day and time of the program consistent so participants can count on that and remember it more easily. We take into consideration what interests the teens have for regular programs, typically through surveys, and try to create a variety of types of programming to capturing the varying interests of teens today. Then there are special programs that might consist of seasonal programs like Ghost Walks, or one-off programs that you'd only need once a year like college application prep, or quarterly programs like life skill programs. The third category is special events, like partner-led programs such as cinema stories where teens can experience book-to-movie magic at the movie theater, or large-scale events like our Discover and Explore cultural program that highlights different cultural events throughout the year, like our Lunar New Year Festival. Finally, there are passive programs which can be rotating nearly all the time in designated teen areas. Programs like 3D printing, green screens with free apps to download, our teen title trek, which are story walks for describing new teen materials with links to our catalog that are set out in our community parks. For passive programs, we consider, again, variety, things we can have out and accessible at most times, and toys, tech, and instruments for them to pick up and try out. We think of our teen advisory board and our volunteering program as a consistent line that contributes to all of this programming that runs through it all. Here's an example of our teen pamphlet flyer that my colleague Eileen created. You can see there is space to note the consistent day and times of our clubs and regular programming. You may also notice that we have rotating quarterly and specialized programs that we promote based on season and interests. And if you would like to hear more about programming step by step, we're going to hear great presentations this afternoon, again by Laura Lee Bidwell and Katrina Threat and William Wallace. And that's session 3A, 205. Finally, I want to talk about Advanced Readers Advisory. Often teens will come to us or be brought to us by guardians unsure as to what they would enjoy reading. Basic teen reference interviews require us sometimes to use crafty ways of parsing out this information. What we really want is to get answers that lead us to a genre. From there, we can make suggestions that are popular in that genre. The questions in my graphic above are designed especially to help lead you to a genre that the patron may enjoy. So you can see we have the basic question, which we all start out asking, which is, what is the last book you really enjoyed? And in my experience, teens can't answer that question the majority of the time. So I tend to pivot to, what is your favorite movie? What are your 3 favorite TV shows? Do you like graphic novels? What are your hobbies and interests? And usually from these questions, I can suss out a genre that I can point them to. The TV show question specifically usually really helps me a lot to determine the kinds of things that keep them interested. And I created this infographic for my branch. And on the back side of it is a list of all the genres I could possibly think of, and at least 2 middle school and 2 high school titles they can suggest once they get them to that genre. But what folks were really interested in was Advanced Readers Advisory. And in my opinion, Advanced Readers Advisory comes down to 2 factors. The most obvious is the long and tedious immersion into your collection, knowing what you have by spending time with the works your system owns. The more familiar you are with your collection, the sharper your suggestions will get. This is a process that will come naturally and can't really be rushed, leaving the second factor more in your control, and if you have a memory like mine, much more useful. Factor 2 is creating and maintaining read-alikes for topics both widely enjoyed and those that are niche. Whenever I have a reference interview that I struggle with, I create a read-alike for it so that I have it to refer back to next time I have similar questions. For example, there was a few weeks in a row in which I had multiple teens seeking out horror books. So I created a read-alike for it, partially so I'd get more familiar with the titles, but also so I could put together an entire list to put in their hands for them to consider. I eventually created 2 notebooks with these read-alikes that we keep at the reference desk to help both my colleagues and I with teen reference interviews. It's important to note that you'll want to update these every year so that you'll have newer suggestions on these topics. But don't toss out the old ones because there are always new teens who haven't read them. But updating with fresh ones so you can better serve your population. And you can see some examples of those that I have here today. I typically parse them out from high school to middle school. That's how I sort of gauge the maturity level of the content that's in the stories that I suggest. And oftentimes, as you see, like in this first example, high school Latin authors and protagonists, it says high school, and on the backside it was middle school. And there are times when most of the time I do this basic format with just the covers of the books that make sure that the author is visible. But every once in a while, specifically when we were doing a specific type of teen tote program where they were taking away books on certain subjects, I created the one that's in the middle, which has a description of the book. So you get less books on your list because they're typically, even though they're typically back two-sided, you've got 8 books on this middle one, but you get a nice little paragraph about what it's about, which gives the teen a chance to sample it before they get to it. And there are lots of niche subjects like horror, I mentioned, witches and magic. Historical fiction is a really popular request at our library, I think specifically because teachers require students to have read or pick a historical novel or a historical fiction novel. And so we do our best to have read-alikes for that always on hand as well. And this is about knowing your population or getting that random question. Or for example, the first ones I made were about subjects I know very little of. So what I did was I don't know a lot about like YA sports novels. So I did read-alikes about those first because I couldn't make even one suggestion off the fly for those. And that's partially what Advanced Reader Advisory is about. You can sit through presentations, and you definitely will today. You definitely will today. That give you specific niche information. But in terms of remembering that information, it's important to make sure that you have getting at least one book that you can recommend for both. I am going to end this slideshow real quick. That's still what you're seeing. Because I want to go through real quick the list of the schedule because I realized not all of my slides said the correct thing. So just a real quick overview. In the afternoon, session 2A at 1 o'clock is Claiming a Space. Session with Lorelei Bidwell, Katrina Threat, and William Wallace. Session 2B is Sustainable Programming with my colleague Eileen Foley-Breck and I, Jake from BCPL, and Tori George. Session 3, the second session and set of second sessions in the afternoon is from 2:05 to 3:05, and session 3:08 is Programming Step by Step with Tia Jennings, Jessica Wood, and Deborah Basolovich. Session 3B is Advanced Readers Advisory with Sharon Lanasa and Brett Presley. So I accidentally copied all the same ones on the bottom of these slides, and I apologize for not catching that. But I do want to make sure you get to these because this is just a tiny snippet of what those are going to be. And I have every reason to believe that they're going to be I've gotten little previews and they're going to be amazing presentations. So it may be a hard choice, but I believe we will be recording them all and you'll be able to catch up with them later once we have them posted. I'm going to give things over back to Carrie now. Thank you so much for your time. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me as you see me in sessions.
Thank you, Tyler. That was a great preview of the day. And I know it will be helpful for those that everyone will have to make a choice, but it's wonderful to have just kind of that overview. and a little sneak peek into the topics that we're covering today during Spring Teen Connect. So just a reminder here real quick about the Padlet. I know Isaiah's dropped some instructions in our chat a few times, but just to say that we are so glad that these teen virtual Teen Connect conferences have enabled so many of you to attend. We love to be in person, but we know that that may be difficult now with staffing and driving and scheduling. So virtual has been really a wonderful alternative that has allowed many of you to attend, which is a good thing. But we know that the connection with others equally as passionate about teen services is a huge piece of the success of these conferences. And we want to still keep that in place, even in a virtual setting. So to that end, we have created a special Padlet where you can share your information and your interests if you care to connect with others who are also interested in those topics. So sometime today, please add your name and your info to the Padlet that has been dropped into the chat, and Isaiah will probably drop that in again here. If you're not familiar with Padlet, there will be a little plus sign in the bottom right corner of your screen once you go to the link, and that will let you make a little post about yourself, and we have the instructions there also of what to include. And this is optional, but it's just a nice way for us to kind of see who's here, who has different interests, and then you can connect with someone, perhaps make a new friend, and extend the learning from today to have just that opportunity to connect with colleagues within the state and without the state, because we do have some folks that are here today, not from Maryland, which is fine. And teens are teens, you know, wherever they are. And it's just really exciting that we have a chance to do that networking that we really enjoy. So that is that. And we will remind you about that at the end of the day, but we wanted you to just have a chance to fill out your little information card on the Padlet if that is of interest to you. We hope that you have a really great learning day with us today. We are going to now take a short break before we begin our
started in just a with our first morning session, which is all about teen engagement, the hot topic I think everybody is very interested in hearing a little more about. I just wanted to say welcome to the Spring 2022 Teen Connect Conference. I hope you all got your coffee in that break because I am still working on mine. This session is all about teen engagement with presenters Christina Durr from Baltimore County Public Library, Isaiah West from Prince George's County Memorial Library System, and Elizabeth Mayer from Newcastle County Public Library, but formerly of Cecil County Public Library. Their full bios can be found on the presenters page on our Teen Connect website, which we will be sharing in the chat throughout the presentation. My name is Kevin Jace, and I will be today's Zoom host. We are in a Zoom meeting, and I know we've been doing this for a long time now. So I just wanted to share a couple quick tips and tricks just in case we needed a little bit of a refresher for it. On the bottom left hand corner, if you're on a laptop, there will be an option for muting and stopping your video. Please mute yourself while you are not talking. As the host, I can mute you if I notice that there is a lot of background noise. So don't stress too much about it. But if you have trouble muting yourself, we can take care of that. Feel free to stop your video as well if you'd like. If you're calling in via phone, you can use *6 to mute yourself. Please use the chat to ask questions or raise your hand during the Q&A section of today's presentation. To raise your hand, select the reactions button or press *9 if calling by a phone. In the top right-hand corner from a laptop, you can choose between speaker view and gallery view if you want a different view of everything. If you're having any tech issues, put it in the chat and somebody from the planning team will be happy to assist you. We are going to keep watch of it. So while we're getting started, please fill out the sign-in sheet with your email and share your name and library in the chat. The sign-in sheet should be posted a couple times throughout the presentation. So if you miss it once, it will come back. After this session, we will be sending the CE forms and evaluation and a recording via email. It will also be posted on the Teen Connect website. Today will be part presentation and part discussion, which means that there will be plenty of time for questions. This is one of our longer sessions, so you will have a lot of time for questions, and we encourage that. We do ask that you hold your questions until all the presentations are finished. If you're worried that you forget, feel free to type in the chat and we will answer them later in the session. When it is time for the question and answer portion of our session, you will be able to welcome raising your hand via Zoom or type in the question channel in the chat. We ask that you wait to be called on to ensure everybody gets a chance to speak. Before we get started, we want to go over a few agreements to make sure that everyone is on the same page for our discussions. These are the rope agreements, which are something that we've been using a couple years for this. And it's just to make sure we're all in agreement with what we are doing for being respectful of each other. So ROPES is an acronym. R stands for respect yourself and for others. This is a space we want to make sure we have some open dialogue, and that might mean that, you know, we're saying things that we don't always know or understand. We want to give everybody some patience to figure this stuff out. We want to be open and share as much as you want to, but also understand you don't have to share everything. We want to acknowledge that ouchies or oops are okay. If you make a mistake, we all make mistakes. You can acknowledge it and move on. We are all trying to learn, and a lot of learning is about understanding that we are all growing and trying to figure out what's, you know, changing and what we need to know. P stands for participate and pass. Participate as much as you can. We want some questions at the end, so we have some participation from you all, but also we want to make sure that everybody else has the ability to speak. So make sure that we are passing the torch when we need to have everybody else speak as well. The little Spanish part of our day, which I had to reevaluate and look how to say this, is escuchar, which means to listen. We want to listen and understand. Oh, I see a nod from Carrie. I did that. Perfect. We want to listen and understand that everybody else is trying to share and talk about what they are doing. And that means that we are giving people space to speak and giving people space to listen as well. We want to be open to the experience. So we want to hear what people are saying. We have a lot of cool people coming from a lot of cool positions that have something different to share. So we want to make sure that we give them a space. And the S finally is to be sensitive and understand that this is a safe space. Again, we're all growing, we're all learning, and we want to be able to recognize that not everybody here is coming from the same background. And that means that we all have some learning that we're all working on doing. So with that, I am going to turn it over to our presenters, and whoever wants to start going first goes. However, I still need to make 2 co-hosts, but I don't have the option to do that, Carrie. I don't know if there's a limit to how many co-hosts you can have in a presentation.
I just made Christina one.
Oh, maybe the host can do this.
I don't know. And then we need to get
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth set up here.
It does not give me the option. Okay.
There we go. Hopefully everybody's all set. Isaiah, I'll double check you too. Yes.
And with that, whoever in that group wants to start and pass the torch, I'm going to give it over to you.
Okay, good morning. Can everyone see my screen? Yes, okay, excellent. I'm not going to have visibility for the chat since I'm sharing the PowerPoint presentation. So Isaiah, if you want to keep an eye out on the chat, that would be fantastic. Okay, well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning. I'm hoping we're all caffeinated and awake for this session. So my name is Elizabeth Mayer, and I'm with Newcastle County Libraries in Delaware at the Bear Branch, and we're going to talk about teen engagement today. So, Christina, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yes, so I am Christina Durr. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am from Baltimore County Public Library. I work in the Youth and Family Engagement Department. More specifically, I do work with the outreach side of that. And then Isaiah.
Hello, everyone. I am Isaiah West. I am the Teen Services Specialist for the Prince George's County Memorial Library System. So my job is awesome because it's teen services all day, every day.
All right, fantastic. So we'll just jump right in then. So our agenda for this session is going to be, we're going to talk a lot about marketing to teens and tweens, engaging disinterested teens, meeting teens where they're at, and also outreach. So I'll go first. So I am formerly with Cecil County Public Library. I am now with Newcastle County Libraries in Delaware at the Bear Branch. But at my time at Cecil County Public Libraries, I did a large survey of teens within my community. So I almost surveyed over closer to 800 teens within that community to get a better understanding of how we market to them, what flyers are engaging to them, what catches their eye, and what would entice them to come to the library and to attend library programs. So one of the major questions that I asked when I was surveying them, not only in the community, but in their schools and within our branches as well, was how do you want to hear about library marketing? How do you want to hear about library programs, materials? How do you want to hear about that information? And the vast majority of them said that they wanted to find out about that information from their schools or from a parent or guardian. So that is granted, this was a survey done before the pandemic when we didn't have so many barriers with the school system. But that was very important information for me to see and how drastic that those findings were as well. There are other few responses as well, like posters within the community from friends. And it's also worth noting that when I was surveying this population too, they did express interest in seeing our social media get better. So at the time, at the branch I was at, there was no dedicated marketing in social media for teens. So they would definitely want to see their voices in social media. Okay, so then I'm also going to talk a little bit about the outreach I performed for teens within my community. So when we returned from the pandemic, I noticed that we no longer had teens coming into the branch. So it's really hard to market to teens when they're not coming through your doors. So I tried to meet them where they were at, and that was in the schools, in the community, attending the Boys and Girls Club outreach events, going to the school outreach events. I was able to really develop a really great relationship with both the high school and middle school media specialist. So I was going into the school systems twice a week, offering outreach services. I participated in the library advisory committee with the high school, and there we were able to develop a library, or I guess after school library programs, which you'll see pictures of. We had a Spiro's event, we had a Spiro painting event too, which you can see pictures of. So this gave students the opportunity to kind of tinker around with the technology that the library had that the school systems did not. And it allowed me to also go in there and to promote library resources and to really establish those connections too with teens. And I was able to also bring the bookmobile with us to these after school events. So then students would have the opportunity to engage with more than, I guess, our technology, but they would also be able to take our books as well. I also offered a program called STEM Explorers in the Media Center with the middle school. Now, this was very similar to the high school where I'd bring technology with me during the middle school's lunch period. And students would come in during their lunch period, eat their lunch with me, and then we would tinker around with technology. I brought Oculus Rift, I brought Spiros, 3D printing pens, you name it, we had it. And again, this was another really great opportunity to establish those connections with the teens when they weren't actually coming into my space. And then I was able to encourage them to come visit me at the library too. And then engaging in disinterested teens. Now, Tyler did kind of talk about this a little bit when he was giving us a little synopsis of all of the The sessions. So connected learning is a huge component, and this is really how I try to engage with those students or teens who aren't interested in the library. So trying to really figure out what they're interested in and what their needs are. And the best way to do that is by asking them. And it can be challenging too when you don't have teens coming into your doors like I do right now. I don't have teens regularly coming to the library. So it's hard to ask them those questions like, what do you want to see in the library? What do you need from the library? So it's worth noting that at my current position here at Newcastle County, we've been noticing an influx of calls about teen volunteers. That seems to be like the hot topic of conversation. Teen volunteers, how do they get service hours? So obviously that's a need within the community that they need service hours. However, there are some barriers right now in regards to having teen volunteers within our branches, unfortunately. So a way that we're trying to get around that is offering a program called Teens in Gear Volunteer. Now that's a really great program because it gives students or teens the opportunity to engage in activities that they're interested in and to also engage in civic engagement opportunities. So they'll be able to accrue service hours without having those barriers. And then we'd be able to establish those connections. So right now we have Teens in Gear who volunteer planned for July. And we're partnering with SPCA, and we're going to make dog beds, dog toys, and then we're also going to be offering an adoption day where the SPCA will come in, bring animals, and the teens will then have the opportunity to help the SPCA handing out flyers, making PowerPoint presentations, and speaking on behalf. But you'll see an image right here of us asking what programs the teens wanted to see in our library systems from Cecil County Public Library. And you see some interesting ones. My favorite one is how to predict the weather. So obviously we aren't teenagers anymore. So we're just kind of shooting in the dark, unfortunately, and seeing what teens want. But the best way to figure out what they want is to just simply ask them and to offer that need. I've also noticed in the branch that I currently work for now that we have several schools who drop off at our location. So we're also going to be offering a teen lounge after school, I think at a bi-weekly basis, so that those teens who do get dropped off at our location would then have the opportunity to come into the library, engage with our technology we have, offer snacks, give them an opportunity to kind of just lounge, do their homework if they want to do their homework, or just simply hang out. So just giving them that space in that library is huge. And then hopefully we'll be able to, again, establish those connections and then see them as a regular patron again. All righty, I believe it is you, Christina.
Hi, everyone. So I just kind of put some facts on here to get us started off. I'll read through those. And these came from the ALL website. The differences in and out of school access to books, positive reading practices, and connections with institutions supportive of self-discovery and reading account for much of the disparity in academic success. Research shows that as an age group, teens 12 to 18 receive the least financial support, and there is a need to provide equitable access to these socially vulnerable communities. So I am absolutely in love with this picture right here. This is one of our librarians, Amanda, and she is actually helping one of the students at our high schools. It's Owings Mills High School. As you see, we actually check out video games, anime, we bring carts of books. You can see kind of behind him. And they're welcome to check out all of these things. So again, that's like one of my favorite pictures. And we can go to the next slide. Am I able to do that? There we go, thank you. Okay, so one of our main services is meeting teens where they are, and this is community outreach. What we do is we actually go to the neighborhoods. These neighborhoods are usually apartment complexes, townhomes, community spaces where there they just don't have access to libraries, whether that be transportation, or they don't feel safe enough to go to the libraries because they are, pseudo government buildings. So we show up in our bookmobile, and we bring a ton of resources, whether they be books, obviously, video games, technology, all of that good stuff. As you see, this is Caleb. He is one of our regulars. He does all of the activities that we ever have to bring. And, just kind of giving them that safe space to explore and work with things that, they typically wouldn't have. They actually really love the Etch-a-Sketch, which I think is hilarious because it's such an old school thing, but they are absolutely fascinated by it. So, again, it's just these little things that we do to make them feel safe and to provide that safe and to build those relationships. They expect us regularly. We go to, how many stops? We visit 10 communities throughout Baltimore County, and that's on a rotating bi-weekly schedule. So that's been really great. We, again, bring the books, video games, programming. We got outside activities. We do outside bowling. We have these giant Connect 4 things. So we're always doing that. We have a big focus right now on STREAM and bringing more programs and tech for the future. We are hoping to get a new bookmobile in the next couple of years, have sewing machines on there, more video games, obviously, things like that. But that's kind of how we are reaching our communities right now out in the world. And we use something called community mapping, which helps us see more socially vulnerable areas, although that's just data and we can't always depend on the quantitative. We do look a lot about the qualitative information that we do get. Next slide. All right, so this has been awesome. Jake Cheripica from Owings Mills branch got this started, and it has turned into a wonderful service, the high school outreach. It started off, Jake had a manga club running at Owings Mills High School, and it quickly evolved into this library at lunch where we are bringing more than just manga. We're bringing American graphic novels, and we're bringing anime, and we're bringing video games, and we're bringing movies. We're bringing anything they want. Oh, Stephen King, yes. The kids love the horror. So this has been a absolutely wonderful program that we've been doing. We work really closely with the media specialist. We get lots of requests from the kids. The media specialist will email me, and we'll send in their requests and bring that over for her. Otherwise, if you're familiar with Owings Mills at all, getting to the actual branch is very difficult. So we've been able to kind of support Owings Mills in getting to the school. So we visit twice a month, and that has been very successful. So much so that we are actually adding more high schools in the fall. We will be working with Jess from Catonsville, so we're very excited. We will be doing Western Tech, and then I got more inquiries yesterday during a teen engagement meeting. So I think I got like 3 more high schools who are interested in this program. And we hope to incorporate more, programs possibly. This picture you see here was a cool thing we did. It was called Social Justice Graphic Novel Project. And we were able to curate a collection for Owings Mills High School. This was for 9th graders where they got to check out books all about social justice and write a report on it. Otherwise, their library wouldn't have all the materials and the access to those. So we were able to get that done. And there are so many pictures, but I like this one best. So, building those relationships with your high schools is so important because you're able to not just help the kids, but you know, you can create these other projects and work with the media specialists to create these other projects. And knowing that we are here to support, we want to help, and we will do everything within our power to get these things done. I'm trying to think what else. Middle schools is, you know, those are more the tweens. That is another group that we are going to start working on in the fall as well. So that is my little wrap up of high school outreach. Thank you.
Okay, let's talk about marketing. And I have another co-presenter with me today, Mervin. So sorry if I get distracted. He is in very neediness mode today. So marketing to teens, it's definitely a beast in itself to try to get all the information that you have to the teens themselves. I love that one of the ways that they want to hear from things is through their parents, but then at the same time you get other teens that are like, I don't want to do anything my parents tell me. So it's like you have to kind of skirt that fine line of like, who am I actually marketing this to, the parents or the teens? So we have quite a few different ways that we market at PGCMLS. One of them is through our teen Instagram. We also use Discord. We use posters and flyers, and then of course we use email blasts as well, which is how we target the parents. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about marketing specifically to our teens and not their parents. Instagram is great because not only can you curate the graphics and the programs that you're trying to promote, you can also show the successes and the failures of the programs that you've hosted already. On ours, you can see here, we had our new branch open, so we posted pictures of all the activities that we did for teens during that day. We're promoting upcoming opportunities and programs. We had an author at one of our branches, so we took pictures with him and talked about how fun it was to finally have in-person programs for teens in the branch again. So it's a great tool that we use. I know that a lot of systems do not have an Instagram specifically for their teen population. And some of that might be because there's no one to run it. Others might be because administration just doesn't want there to be another Instagram account out there. It was a pretty easy sell for us. We had a teen specifically that asked one of our library staff if we could have a teen Instagram, and I took that to the higher ups and said that it came directly from a teen, and they said, okay, if you're willing to run it, have at it. So that was a very quick new job title or new addition to my job title when I started my job. But if you want to get one started, I definitely think finding that teen need and using it as we need to market directly to teens is an easy way to get that going. If your library system doesn't have an Instagram at all, I definitely suggest talking to someone about that, because it is one of the places that teens go to look for information like that. The other is TikTok, which we do use TikTok, not so much for marketing itself, but we use TikTok more for engagement. And we use it for readers advisory for our teens a lot. So Discord, we've had a lot of things on Discord, and I'm not going to linger too long on it, mostly because I think at this point I'm just exhausted talking about Discord. But we do use Discord to market programs, opportunities, events, outreach, volunteer hours, job positions. We use it for all of those things. We definitely want to engage our teens where they're at. We don't get them talking to us a lot, but we do get lots of reactions through emojis. So it's definitely something that we keep revisiting. Is it worth it to keep it there if they're not actually talking to us as much as we want? Then we always come back to the fact that they are liking the things that we're showing them, and they are attending the events that we're promoting. So we keep doing it. We mostly just talk to ourselves on there, especially in the book lovers channel. It's mostly just staff talking about all the fun teen titles that they're reading. But as long as we're getting it out there, we see that it's worth it. And the other thing is through, traditional poster flyer graphics that we have. This one right here is one that is about to go up in all of our branches. It's very similar to what Elizabeth was talking about. We created a new volunteer program that provides equitable access to service hours through a variety of activities that range from civic engagement to community action to just helping the library out with like book lists and recommendations. So we really wanted to make sure that that was front and center. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's get into the actual branding and marketing side of things. This was our old teen page header. This was kind of the brand that we used. Was boring and school-like. We didn't want it to look anything like school. Like, we don't want to be like school. We want to be a completely different educational avenue for teens. Like, we want them to learn without knowing that they're learning. So we completely got rid of this. There is no remnants of school left in our brand whatsoever. It is trying to be as fun and active and engaging as possible. Next slide. So how did we do that? And I'm sorry that this GIF is going to scroll while I'm talking. I hope it is not too distracting. The first place that we started was with me and with the teen staff, my team that I work with. We identified a need for a teen sub-brand to really attract teens to our posts, to our webpage, to all of the materials that we provide them. We worked with our teens to get ideas for this sub-brand, mostly through our teen action groups. And we continue to work with a graphic designer to maintain that brand and evolve it as our teens evolve. With our teen action groups, our graphic designer and our marketing specialist, they went to our a couple of our teen action groups and just asked, like, what do you want to see? Here are some samples. What do you like? What do you not like? They gave their feedback to the graphic designer, the director of dynamic content, and our marketing specialist. And they gave the final approval overall. We used a Pinterest board to create a vision board of sorts. Most of this is staff input, although we did get a couple of teens that submitted ideas as well. And this is what we submitted to our marketing team. We said, this is what they're interested in. Is there a way that like your skills can align with something like this? And we took some of the color ideas and the kind of mixed texture, and we ran with that as our first attempt. And the teens did, of course, give feedback saying that they like a lot more flat design, and a lot of other words that they really appreciated. They didn't want some of the color choices that we chose, so we changed those around a little bit. All of that to say, next slide. This is what we came up with as our new header. One of the things that they really wanted to see were teens that looked a lot more like them. A lot of the graphics that people use for teens are stock images, which are unfortunately not always representative of the communities that we live in. So these are our teens, and this is who we decided to highlight on our new brand. Of course, we do have a few other teens that get peppered in with various skin tones and diverse backgrounds, but this is the two teens that we chose as our new header for our webpage. This was something where originally when it came through, it was a really ambiguous who these teens were. Our graphic designer wanted to keep it that way with like colorful skin, and our teens and our staff said, no, we want to see real skin tones and we want to see varied skin tones. And our graphic designer changed it instantly and our teens gave instant approval. Next slide. So here's our new brand in effect. So as you can see, we didn't stick entirely with our pink, teal, and yellow. That would be really boring if that were the only 3 colors that you saw on our teen Instagram and our Discord and through all of our platforms. But we kind of kept the general vibe going. So anything that is marketed to teens, our graphic designer tries to keep some kind of teen brand element with it. So our Black and Proud art exhibit, it's for the entire community, but our artists are teens and adults. So our graphic designer made sure to keep some element of our brand there with it. And the same with all the other graphics that you see. Like they all look a little bit different, but there is that like little hint of that initial brand there. And a lot of that is like that teen attitude, like the splatter and the texture, not using like stuffy fonts and typeface, and just making it engaging and playful in a way that is teen-like and not so childlike. I think the biggest takeaway during this whole rebrand, and we are still working, we are constantly trying to revamp, come up with new ideas, get away a little bit from just the paint splatter, and come up with more engaging ways other than the urban like painting, spray paint, tagging, graffiti art. We want to show all different types of teens in our community. So it's constantly evolving. We have some new things coming up on the horizon that unfortunately we're not ready to be shared just yet. But the biggest takeaway was that the teens had an idea, and including them in the process, even if it's not as much as you would like, even if it's just getting final approval on graphics, that was huge. And now when teens see this, they engage with it a lot more. Our social media engagement has gone up significantly. We have a lot more teens following our Instagram account rather than their parents. And it just keeps growing each day as our branches open up and our teen action groups are getting more involved. We have more and more teens that have decided that they want to follow us for other things other than service hours. They're engaging with us on TikTok a lot more now because our brand is there. And it's been a very rewarding experience to see that their vision and their ideas have actually worked. We have gotten the result that we were looking for. I think that's the end of my slides. So now I will, I guess all 3 of us are happy to take any of the questions that you have. I think Anita and Carrie were kind of bookmarking some of the questions that came in through the chat.
Yeah, I did catch some questions here. The first one was for Elizabeth. It says, with the bookmobile, did you bring library materials for them to check out, or do you give them free information books?
So the really great part about Cecil County Public Library's bookmobile is that you don't need a library card. So everything that is on the bookmobile, you can just take in its honor system. There is a sticker on the back of each book that says that it's a bookmobile material and that it can be returned at any location or returned at the bookmobile, but it's completely honor system. So you can hold on to that item as long as you want and return it when you can. So it's a really great service that they offer there in Cecil County. And then, our contact information is on the screen. So feel free to write that down, and it's going to be in the Padlet too. So I will stop sharing my screen so we can see so I can see everyone's faces.
Excellent. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thanks.
The next question I had was for Isaiah. It says, how do you connect with all the teens? Are they all following each other? but not Isaiah, necessarily the library?
Yeah. So I'm guessing that we're talking specifically about Instagram, which I don't know if all the teens are following each other. I think that some of them have started following each other as they've gotten to know each other through our teen action groups and other volunteer opportunities. And I don't follow all of the teens on the account. Some of our teen action group members that have specifically said that it's okay to follow them because they tag us in things, or they used to tag us in things. I might follow them, but the majority of the time it's just a one-way street, unfortunately, because I don't want to necessarily see all the cringy things that our teens are doing with their social media. But the way that I keep engaging them with our social media, which I'm not the best person to talk about the social media aspects, because unfortunately it cannot get the attention that it deserves, just because my job title, like the responsibilities that I have, social media unfortunately comes towards the bottom of it. So it's not my best way of engagement. I would definitely say that my super hardworking team are the ones that engage the most through our Discord. But I guess the way that I do it is I just try to vary the things that we're promoting, making sure that everything's staying fresh and different. That doesn't always happen because sometimes I don't have the images I'm looking for. So I have to post back-to-back things that are just boring graphics. Sometimes we don't have book recommendations for me to take pictures of the book. So it really ebbs and flows. We're getting a lot more content now as our volunteer program is rolling out, because some of the prompts are take a picture of a book you're reading and write a review for us, or what's a song or an album that you really love so we can promote it using Freegal. What's a movie or a video game that you're really vibing with right now, and we can push that out. So I think the way that I engage with them is I give them opportunities to tell me more about themselves. And that's not just through our social media platforms, like our teen action groups, people that I talk to about, it's their first time starting one up. The first thing I do is tell them, if you're looking for a fun icebreaker, tell them to give you a clean song that they really love right now and create a playlist. And that's the playlist that you listen to during your teen action groups. And let them keep adding things to it throughout the year. Give them an opportunity to talk not just about themselves, but about specific things that kind of create their identity. So that's my takeaway is just make sure that things are fresh, things are different, and give them plenty of time to express who they really are. Hopefully that answered the question.
Yeah, I think that was a great question and a really great response. Thank you for that. The next one was similar about Discord. It says, are they able to communicate with each other on your Discord?
They are able to communicate with each other through our Discord. We do not encourage people to reach out unless they have consent to reach out. So they need to ask if it's okay to send a private message. I don't know how many people are following that, but we have not had complaints that someone is encroaching on space. So we do use an honor system in that case, and we make it very clear in our rules and guidelines that if they do not follow the rules, we'll give them a warning, we'll kick them for a week, and then if they continue to be kicked out, we'll ban them. We have not had anyone except one horrible troll that posted the worst kinds of things. Since we started our Discord almost 2 years ago, that's the only person we've banned, and we've only kicked someone, I think, one time. So we've not had issues, but I do think that they can talk to each other. I don't know how much they are.
Got it. And now we move on to TikTok. So someone wants to know if your TikTok is specifically for teens or if it's a general TikTok.
It's just a general TikTok, but a lot of the videos have teen appeal. So we encourage them to follow. And if it's one that's specifically for teens, I cross-post it as a reel on Instagram.
Okay.
I actually have a follow-up question for you, Isaiah. So how did you approach your administrative team to get a TikTok? Like, how did you pitch and sell that idea?
I didn't. So our marketing specialist constantly said we need a TikTok, and always kind of looked at me as like the person. I was like, I am not doing TikTok. Like, that is one thing I feel like the old person when I even open TikTok, because I don't really know what to do there. I don't know how it works. So I was not the person that really pushed for this one, but I think it was just seeing so many other libraries around the country, especially larger library systems, which, we are one of the larger library systems. We just saw so many people doing it. It kind of became inevitable that we would have one. And within PGCMLS, we have a digital navigation team. And this was a project that team picked up. Specifically, one person on that team had picked it up and said that they would be willing to take charge and do most of the videos. And since then, we've had another person join the TikTok bandwagon in our system, but it was not me this time. I think it was just the system wanted it and someone finally gave in and took the reins of it.
That's great. So we're going to move on to graphics now. And Isaiah, those were some fantastic looking flyers and graphics you had. Someone wants to know who designs and creates them. And then are there guidelines or templates you have to follow?
So we are fortunate that we have a graphic designer in-house that creates the majority of our graphics. We do have a few templates that we can use to create basic graphics ourselves, such as flyers, posters, handouts, things like that. And we use Canva as one of our primary tools for those templates. As far as any additional graphics that we put on social media, there are a few of us that kind of have the ability to make those graphics and push them out, me being one of them. I am nowhere near the graphic artist that our actual graphic designer is. But Canva makes it really easy for me to create something that doesn't look absolutely atrocious. I know that having a graphic designer is a privilege in libraries. This is the first time I've ever worked in a library system that has a graphic designer. A lot of the other library systems I've worked for, it's just like the overall communications specialist or the overall communications person, or someone in HR has taken on this weird task. And that's okay too. I think you can still do a very similar thing with your graphics to make them teen friendly. It's just starting that conversation and saying, I don't want to create more work for you. How can I help make this happen? Which is exactly what I did, because one graphic designer is still not enough for a large library system that puts out the amount of content that we do. So he's always being overrun, especially during the times when our signage is constantly changing. Masks on, masks off, masks back on. Programs are happening outside, programs are happening inside, programs are happening outside. So he's just always overwhelmed. So I think starting that conversation with how can I help make this happen? Is there something that I can use that I can create a graphic and then get approval by you? I think that's the way to start.
Yeah, and you covered the last question that I had. It was about whether or not you use Canva or a special marketing person. So there was that. I do see one more just popped up for Christina and Elizabeth. When you're trying to create connections with schools, what do you find the best route into the schools? Media specialists, teachers?
Actually, so it does depend. I found recently talking with some of the teen librarians, sometimes it's the media specialist, but sometimes it is the art teacher who has a passion for manga, or sometimes it's the English teacher who really loves the fiction. And maybe it's both. Right now, I actually just got several emails about, hey, our media specialists can't do this, but we do have teachers who are interested. So it's kind of working with both and seeing what relationship is going to work with that and just working around that. So it's a constant flexibility on everyone's part and just being committed to making it work. How can we make it easier? We know that teachers are overwhelmed, we're overwhelmed, but at the end of the day, we just want to get the materials to the kids.
I would have to agree with Christina 100%. I was very fortunate when I came into my role at Cecil County that I already had the librarian before me had a really well-established relationships with the media specialists. So it was kind of a seamless transition for me with those media specialists. So I was very, very fortunate in that regard. And they were so wonderful and so responsive and so excited to partner up with us. And I feel like sometimes that is very rare to find. And when I did go into the school systems, it wasn't actually through the language arts department, it was through the science department. So it's finding the teachers and by figuring out their schedules as well with what works well, because if they're testing, you're not getting into the classrooms whatsoever. And it's also worth noting that now in my new position here in Newcastle County, there aren't any media specialists in the high schools or the middle schools. So to even reach out to a librarian or library staff member in those school systems is challenging because they're not there. And to get a response from the teachers are very, very difficult too. So just trying to make those connections with someone who shares a passion for libraries or shares a passion for manga, or you talk to a guidance counselor because you have a shared interest of trying to get those students service hours. It's just trying to find that one dedicated adult who has the time and has the energy to support the same causes that you have.
And agree again with Elizabeth. Recently, we actually had a teen come on the bookmobile, and she was telling us about her manga club and how it's so full that they can only allow so many kids. So she actually ended up being our connection. And this wasn't an adult by any means. This was just a teen who wanted more kids to get into the club and to make it work. So we gave her our supervisor's card and said, give this to your teacher. And, if he's interested in reaching out, have him reach out to us. So the teens themselves can be that connection, when they really want it, they want this to happen. They are that resource too. So I think it's, putting investment in them and knowing that, they're going to make those things happen. I think that's why we have programs like TAB and stuff, to help the teens feel more confident and get those leadership skills.
Thanks, both of you. I feel like that kind of really encapsulates what Jake's question was, because I think if you don't know how to get in, you can't get in, and especially if the right people don't make the right connections. And his follow-up question, I think he did kind of hit as well, if a school is hesitant or doesn't have a pre-existing relationship with your system, how do you approach offering services such as outreach? And I think I'll still ask it, because is your approach to kind of just be like, we're the library, we are here to help you, or do you package what you do as something that you can sell to them? Do you have to convince them?
I'm trying to think about that. That's a great question. It sounds weird, but it does come down to like, hey, we're here. We're going to keep annoying you because we have this service that, you will love. And, I think for us in outreach, this is a whole new way we're going about everything. So I think, since we're doing these pilots in the fall, what we're hoping is like, hey, this is the package that we've been doing with 4 high schools and a middle school and an elementary school. And this is how it is going to help you and help the kids and make everything easier. We know how it works. You don't have to do much. All you have to do is kind of supervise us and tell us where to go. So I think it's kind of, again, with the pilot, it's going to help us easier to like get them motivated to make those connections. And just being really annoying, and the squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Christina, you make an excellent point, though, about saying how they can be hands off. They just have to be a body in the room, essentially, because I think that's why a lot of teachers, media specialists, administrative staff are reluctant to partner up with other organizations because they are so overwhelmed right now. And to take on another task and another responsibility just is daunting and it's not realistic. So trying to be like, you can be as hands off, you just have to let me in the building. Just let me in the building and everything will be fine.
I think that selling factor that just let us be there. I know I've had to convince at my last branch that we are not trying to add work to you, but we might be able to alleviate the work that you're doing so that you might get to take a short break or do something like that. I do see some success stories in the chat about things like anime club going very well and that secretaries rule the school, according to Jess Woods. So really trying to figure out any in you have with the schools, because I think that's probably the best bet to get to know who is doing what, who the good people are, and honestly, I think who is going to respond to you. Feel free to keep putting your questions in the chat. While I'm waiting for that, I have my own question for all three of you, because I think this is something that one of you kind of touched on, that we are not teens anymore. I'm assuming none of us are teens. I am no longer a teen, unfortunately. But you have to stay relevant to what the teen at heart, correct? You have to stay relevant to what the teens are doing and stay up on trends and get their feedback on it. Do you have any sort of tips on separating out maybe like staff, librarian interests from actually getting teen input in? Because I think there's a lot of times, I think Discord is a place where you can see staff overwhelming it because they want to share what they want to share versus like stepping back and letting teams have a voice. Do you have any tips for that?
So I have a regular who does come aboard at the bookmobile. I think the main word I always have in my head is just being receptive, being totally quiet. And it's kind of like how Zoom works, where you're waiting for someone on Zoom to say something because they're going to say something. And just be receptive to that and knowing that I don't know everything. There's no way. They know so much, and having them be the teachers and giving them that, pedestal to stand on, like, teach me something, is empowering to them and allows them to open up. And again, so my regular, she always comes in, shows me all of her artwork, and it's this amazing relationship that we have now where if I'm not there, the other librarians take pictures of her artwork to send me. So I think it's just giving them that space, that safe space to be like, I can just talk and they're going to listen. We take those ideas. We try not to make programming that we think is going to work. It's programming that they have ideas about. And I think that makes it a lot easier, and it makes it feel like their space. So it's not like we're shoving them in a corner somewhere in a library and being like, here's your space. It's really awkward. There's adults around, there's little kids around. I think giving them that space and making them feel comfortable and letting them just talk about all their stuff is really helpful.
And to kind of piggyback off of you, Christina, we're in this unique position where we're kind of the bridge between teens and our administrative staff. So really advocating, like, we can hear them and we can fully absorb what they're saying and understand that that's what they need and that's what they want. But then as we're hearing these ideas, I know that I think this way. I'm like, my gears are turning and I'm like, okay, how am I going to sell this to my administrative staff? How can I make this work without all of the red flags flying up in my admin? So trying to really be an advocate for them and to be relentless, essentially, not giving up, and just continuously advocating for them, because that's what they need. They need someone in their corner, and we're in their corner.
I also think what Christina said about space. Intentional space is always going to be the key for getting your teens to open up to you in general. But by creating these intentional spaces, there's an awesome conversation about anime club happening in the chat. Like, by creating that space, you already know an interest of these teens. you don't have to necessarily, I mean, you can wait for them to talk to you because they are going to talk eventually. You can also ask them those intentional questions, and it's like a really easy question to ask. But I've noticed that librarians are really good at answering questions, but a lot of the times it's really hard for us to ask those questions. Maybe it's the introvert tendencies that librarians have. But just asking those questions, like, so what are you reading right now? Like, what's the big anime that you're watching? Like, what new season's about to happen that you're like stoked for? The same thing with the thing that I like to do is like, I like to play video games. So when I see another teen video gamer, like it's an easy conversation for me to have. But instead of saying like, oh, I've been doing this and that, I just ask like, what have you been playing recently? Like, what's the big game? Like, and you can joke about like, I'm the old person, like they're okay with that. They know you're the old person. It's fine. Like, you know, I'm looking for the next thing. What are the teens playing this day? Like play up your like old crotchetiness at some points. And I just think that that's really important, is like asking them the questions and then stepping back and just like letting them geek out about it. Like if you know that they have an interest, like encourage it, question it, and then like just give them that space to be, like let them be. It's great to watch it too. Like when they see that you are interested in something that they have to say, they will open up more and more each time they see you.
Relationships are so important. So important. And I love someone said anxiety girl. So yes, giving them an opportunity to respond anonymously is huge too, because they may not know where their role is in this space or in a library, and they've never interacted with the library before. So giving them those opportunities to kind of explore that without having the spotlight on them too is important.
I really appreciate all of that because I think it hits on things I do, which is really helpful. I definitely know I think maybe Christina said this, I play dumb to a lot of what they are. And some teen explained to me about Nintendo 64 and how it was and what games were on it. And in my head, I was like, that came out when I was young, but go for it, kid. I love it. Love your enthusiasm. And I think going with the anxiety girl, and maybe this is another venue of another question would be, what ways do you make yourself approachable to impact first team engagement? I'm going to spoil and say real fast, what a good statement piece, because I get so many teams that talk about my cats, and that works for me. So all three of you, what do you do to get teams to approach you versus waiting for them to approach other way, whatever, other way?
When I'm doing a major teen event or outreach, I always try to look like my best teen emo self did. I don't try to look very stuffy if at all possible. Like I'll wear like I wear all black all the time. Like this is colorful for me, but like, I don't know, I just try to look approachable in general. Like I try to look like that stereotypical teen librarian as much as I can. But beyond that, I think that my biggest thing is that I just try to, I don't know, I'm witchy, so I'm going to say some words that might not work but with everyone, but I just try to emit that energy, like that positive energy. And when I go into a space with teens, it energizes me anyway. I don't know what it is. A lot of people get really freaked out by the teens, but like, if I'm walking into a room that has a lot of teens, like I instantly get energized. It puts me in a good mood. So I instantly just start putting out all of the feels. Like I want them to feel my like welcomeness and openness radiating from me. But other things, I adorn myself with things that might make me look like, you know, I am approachable. I try to wear like my rainbow pins, like my flags, and my, like if I have like a little video game something, I might have a t-shirt on that's like of a 90s band because the 90s are back and I'm super here for it. But like I try to I I just try to make my appearance look that way, but also just like my general vibe, which I know that that's probably hard for people to do. Like, how do I change my vibe? But I think you can. I think it's just like instantly changing your mindset when you get around teens to let everything else fall away and be in the moment with those teens. Sorry, that's my woo.
I agree 100%. I have my Miss Frizzle dresses that I wear, and just teens know who their people are. Like pins are such a huge thing. They're so discreet too, but they notice them and they will comment on them. And to kind of go off of what you were saying, Isaiah, about your vibe, just your general like stance, how you interact with them, how you hold yourself. Like, are your arms crossed when they come in? Like, just changing your facial expressions when, if you see them, your face lights up, you know their names, and they know that off of your energy that you're giving off, that they're welcome in that space. I say that teens are more my people than the adults who come into the buildings. So I'm more excited to see teens than I am to see adults, unfortunately. But just knowing that you're happy to see them in that space is just huge. And you can, even with a mask on, you can see your eyes. So you can definitely tell when someone's excited to see you.
I really think, you know, snowballing off what Isaiah and Elizabeth said, absolutely amazing things. And I do, you know, part of me believes like we are innately drawn to teen engagement anyway. And I think having that within ourselves does make it easier for them. The body language, what we wear, how we dress. I get silly a lot of the times, and I will completely nerd out over things. And I think that makes them feel a lot more comfortable where they're like, oh, I don't, you know, feel a certain way about this. Obviously, she's really passionate about it. So I can say all of the things that I'm passionate about and not feel like I'm being judged. So just, you know, being open and really listening to their interests. And honestly, I learned so much, and I have a whole list of books that I need to read, webtoons, everything, because they yell at me all of the time. Why haven't you read this yet? And, you know, showing that interest and really, you know, being able to catch up with them when you do finally get to read that thing and see them again and say, I finally read this, let's talk about it. And they get excited. And yeah, I guess I can't, you know, it's just fun. They're just fun to be around. They bring me joy. They're hilarious. They have lots to say. And just, you know, being empathetic and, you know, feeling what they're going through. Being a teen is not easy. It is awkward. It's uncomfortable. And, you know, not as an adult, sometimes we're seen as general authority figures, and kind of moving that boundary a little bit where it's like, we may be that or seen in their eyes as that, but we want to relate and we want to understand, and we're here to listen. So
That's huge. So we're here to listen and we're here to support them too. Once they know that you can be a support system to them in some capacity, that's huge. You can write them letters of recommendations. You can be used as a reference for a job. Like, you're an adult there to support and help them grow. And once they know that, it opens the door for so many possibilities.
Yes, and I put in the chat, don't be afraid to geek out and like fangirl around your teens, but also don't be afraid to like get sappy and like show that you have emotions around teens as well. Like, if something frustrates you about the world and you know that it's also frustrating these specific teens, it's okay to talk about that. I know that we are trained as like public servants to kind of hide certain parts of ourselves. I don't think that applies around teens. Most of the teens are probably feeling everything that we're feeling, but a lot more. So don't be afraid to express your frustrations, to show your emotions, and also get sappy with them. I think that when I have a teen that like, I'm super proud of them for doing something, I will stop what's happening and I will say that I'm super proud of something that, like, maybe not in front of a bunch of people, but like if I hear that they've done something and then I see them come into the branch, I will walk up to them and be like, I heard about your XYZ. I am so proud of you for doing that. Or like, go you. Like, that praise is so important because you don't know if they're getting that praise anywhere else. And I don't know, emotions are weird when you're working with teens, and it's like if you spiral down the emotions, like you could both end up in tears. But I just think being real and being authentic is the best way to get those teens to connect.
I went to a training one time and I wish I remembered which training it was, but someone at the conference said, be the adult you wish you had growing up. And that resonated with me so much. And that is what I try to do here when serving teens in the library, trying to be the adult I wish I had growing up.
I've been watching the chat and there's been a lot of good tips in there too about getting teens involved in like hair colors. I think Joy was the one that wrote like how important it is to get to know teens' names, and that is you know, the best thing you can do because you can introduce them to other staff. You can also, you know, make sure they know they are seen. I think this passive engagement is also important for like deeper things too. And I think about this with what Elizabeth just said of being the adult I wish I had. When we think about like marginalized identities too, I didn't have many queer adults in my life, and like I've painted my nails very purposefully to show that that's okay. And I have coworkers that for other identities are wearing like Black Lives Matter pins and things like that that show teens are going through very complicated identity forming events in their lives that like we care and we want to listen and we want to be there for them, which we are not their parents and we are not their school teachers. We have a space where we can let them grow and be. And I think that's important. If anybody has any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. I have one more question to fill a void, which is just like the word teen. Is that something that you get responses from with your teens? Because at one point we had, we just created a space and it was originally the teen zone. And we had a teen employee at that point who said, do not call it that. That is lame. And that the teens did not want to be called teens, but then what do you call it? So how do you address this population you were serving that might not like the name that we call them?
That is the hardest question I have ever been asked.
Thank you. Thank you. Go for it.
I never call a teen to their face. I typically try to refer to them by their identity, which is just going to be their name most of the time. Like I always make that connection as personal as I can. I agree, people and our system's doing it too, but try to get away from teen zone. It's like, it's been way overdone. And it's not bringing teens into it that often because that title is so horrible. But anyway, going beyond that, I think when you're calling them teens internally within, you know, your teams and like your organizations, I think that that's fine. But when you are talking to any individual, like I think the only group of people that you can walk into a room and address them as a collective age group would be like, hey kiddos, or something like that. And even then I'm a little iffy about it, but it's not like you walk into a bunch of like senior citizens and be like, hey there, old people. Like that's not what you do. So I think just creating that identity-based relationship with these young people, young adults, emerging adults, I think that that's the best tip. But I agree, like I didn't want to be called a teen when I was a teen. It felt like, I don't know, it felt like a derogatory term that people threw at you. So I can definitely understand why, you know, today they are revolting against it. But my suggestion is what Joy said. Learn their name and refer to them that way. And if you're entering a room, like a lot of people like, hey, you all, or hey, folks, like anything that refers to them collectively needs to be something that you would just say to like anyone, like your friends, your family, like things like that. I think that finding those gender neutral collective terms and calling them that, or just getting to know them. I think that's the first tip, is get to know them that way. And then you don't have to worry about the horrible slap in the face of the teen.
That is such a challenging question, such a great question too, and it's worth debating. So when I guess walk into a group, or I'm talking to a group of teens, I usually refer to them as friends if I don't know their name. So I'll be like, hi friends, how are we doing? And all of that fun stuff. But it's challenging too, because when we're marketing programs, it's for tweens and teens. And I have so many teens who are technically, we categorize them as a teen because they fall into the age group that we classify as a teen, but they don't identify as a teen. So they see teen on our advertisements and say that program is not for me because I am not a teen. So then that kind of acts as a barrier for programming, marketing wise. So I either just try to say ages. I avoid saying teen, tween. So I usually say for ages 11 to 17, or if we're trying to market it to a school for middle schooler and high schoolers. So really avoiding that language, because they can see middle school and say, okay, yeah, I'm in middle school, that's where I belong. Yes, I'm in high school, that's where I belong. Or yes, I'm in that age group, that's where I belong. But it's difficult too, because if we go on our websites, there's a teen tab. If we go and we look at flyers, it's going to say teens on it. So it is very challenging. And how do we rebrand that? That's a huge question.
That's something that my brain can't process right now. Like, already done one rebranding this year. I'm gonna have to take a break.
Yeah, that was a great question, Kevin, for the end of our you know what Isaiah and Elizabeth said, it's so hard. And I think what I really liked, and this is what Isaiah does and what I do, is actually just getting to know them, just getting to know their names. Because that way it makes them more of an individual. It's not like you're putting them in this big group anyway. This means that we see them and we see who they are. We see their unique personality. We get to know them. But otherwise, it's, you know, when I talk to them, it's just like, oh, hey, y'all, and bring your friends over, check us out, see what's going on here. But yeah, they do not like being called teens. And if you put them in that tween group, it's a whole other thing. And no. So, yeah, that's something I have not thought about. And now I'm embarrassed that I have not thought about that. But I'm going to bring this back to work, to the YFE department, and have a huge discussion about what we're going to do about this. So thank you.
This is going to be the first question on my teen services team meeting. First one.
I love a good ripple effect. I see another question in the chat from Nicole. How do you get branch, oh, it keeps moving. How do you get branch staff buy-in with servicing teens, especially when staff persons might see them as a nuisance or not part of their jobs if they're not part of the teen team themselves?
That's another difficult question. So the best way I try to battle that issue, because teens can be challenging, and if staff don't have the right tools or the right mindset, it's not going to be a successful interaction. So just making sure that all staff who interact, all frontline staff, are well versed in teen services, knowledgeable about the teen brain and how it operates, and I like to reiterate, like, yeah, we call them teens, but at the end of the day, their brain isn't fully developed and they're still children. They're still kids. They're just larger. So just making sure that staff is knowledgeable behind that content and just having those hard conversations, unfortunately, and just being an advocate for them and saying that they belong in the library and they have a space in the library.
I was going to say, so teens are an audience that we have difficulty servicing anyway. They, don't always want to come to the library, but the library is for all. And I think kind of reiterating that message that we want all people to come into the library, and teens especially, when we were talking about in the earlier session about teens are the future. They really are. This is the time when we want them to come in and use our services, because they are in school right now. They are moving on. They are taking big steps. Maybe looking at colleges, maybe looking at other options. So those are the people we want to see. We want them to use our resources. So I think branding it in the way that children are our future. I hate saying that, but so it's kind of like that thought, and maybe having those people to get the buy-in, have them attend more teen programs, like this is a teen program or this is a teen outreach. Maybe have them go more and see what it's like to experience it. I think that will kind of maybe give them a new outlook, hopefully. And I know for YFE and outreach, just email me. I want everyone to go on a teen thanks with me. So it's a lot of fun. And I think once they're involved in it, they see how much of an impact it is on, both themselves and the teens.
A common complaint that, or I don't want to say complaint, but we would have patrons who'd be like, oh, why are these rowdy teens in here? And my response to that would always be, isn't it wonderful that they're here? Isn't it great that they're in a library in an education like setting? Isn't this so wonderful that they're here instead of like on the side of Route 40? We are so happy that they are here. And that definitely changes how people perceive them too, that like we're here as a resource for them and that they could be doing worse things.
I think another way to get people, especially staff, well, first of all, I'm going to drop the why competencies for library staff by Yalsa in the chat. Highly recommend everyone reading this for tips to for yourselves, but also that you can use when you have other library staff that might not be buying into teens. And I hate that that's even a phrase, because you shouldn't have to buy into teens in the library. It's not like we have to buy into story times, because as a person that's always been a teen person, but part of a youth services department, I didn't sign up for story times, but I still did them with a smile on my face. But I think another way is to remind them that you were a teen once. Like, didn't you want a space for yourself when you were a teen? Like, didn't you want to be seen and heard when you were a teen? And if they like to throw out like those few bad teens that cause problems for the library, it's like, were you that teen? Would you have wanted to be punished for like the actions of some like class clown? No. So like making them go back to their history and remember what it was like, because we like to lump it as a certain generation, like they don't remember what it was like being a teen was so different back then. But I don't think that's true, even for the older generations. But places I've worked, it's not older generations that don't like teens. It's, people in their like late 20s to mid 40s. Like, it's people that being a teen during other trying times, like you should have a little empathy for the teens. But it's also not that hard to remember like what it was like growing up during a time when so much was happening in the world, but you were also trying to find your identity and place within it. So just, I think the activity that Kelsey and Carrie do during their T3 trainings of like reflecting back of when you were starting middle school, and then reflecting back of when you were starting high school, and then reflecting back when you were like about to leave high school. I just think that that's so important to do with staff. Like, remember what it was like. It was not easy. We were all awkward limbs and weird smells, and it's just, I don't know. It's a difficult conversation. I feel like I've been fighting for teens in libraries forever, and it never gets any easier. And it feels like nothing really ever changes because we get a new batch of people that also hate teens constantly. But if you love teens, like I'm sure you do, just doing the same things over and over again, reminding people that teens are people too, and that you were once a teen, it does get pretty quick results.
I appreciate all of that. I think the resources shared are super helpful. I've used the teen competencies as a staff training tool for my own team to figure out, not like, we're not doing this, but what do we want to be better about? What do we want to focus on as a staff? Bill just put a question in the chat. We sometimes do after hours programming for teens. It's been suggested recently that we start requiring emergency contact info for each teen just in case. What are your thoughts, and do you think that would be a good idea or an invasion of privacy? And then we are almost at 12 o'clock, our lunchtime, and I hope everybody is excited.
So I'd be happy to answer that question, Bill. So at Cecil County, we offered teen nights, which was an after-hour program. So registration is required for those events. So they would have to sign up, and they would have to provide an email address and a phone number as well. We would do reminder phone calls to confirm that everyone was still attending the program, and then a parent would have to drop off the child and sign them in and sign them out. If they left, they weren't allowed to come back into the building. So once you're out, you were out, but the signing in and signing out was very, very important, and making sure that the numbers that we had to were working telephone numbers as well. I mean, it's just a simple thing that we require for registration for most of all library events here in Delaware and in Cecil County, that you need a phone number and you need an email address. So I don't think it's an invasion of privacy because they're signing up for the program anyway, and we require that information. Anyone have thoughts on that?
Britt says, at what age do you stop requiring parental consent? 16-year-olds can drive themselves and work. Can they not sign themselves in?
That is a great question. We never really ran into that issue because the libraries within Cecil County are very rural. So walking wasn't really something that was common. And most of the teens who attended didn't drive themselves. Just because looking at, I guess, the demographic in that county, many teens didn't have their own vehicles. So we never really ran into that issue.
I do want to bring up something that Nicole said in the chat, which is a take that I always try to bring in when I'm advocating for when people are signing up. And a lot of people love this, like there are no exceptions to the rules, like the rules are the rules for a reason. But we do have a lot of teens that aren't on the best terms, or they might be trying to attend a program that needs parental consent, but it might be on a topic that is a little bit more private to them. I've run into this when hosting like LGBTQ nights at libraries, and the rule is like you have to have parental consent to come to an event after hours or in a different location other than the library. And I've never been a rule follower, so I just tell teens that want to come, and if they are willing to like say that to me, I just say like, you can come, I don't care. Like, just give me, like, I do ask for numbers. I've always asked for like a number to call if something were to happen. I say, just give me your parents' number. That way, if anything does happen, we can contact them. I've always been okay with kind of accepting any liability when it comes, especially to like the little queer teens that they just need a space for themselves and they're not comfortable coming out. And by going to this event, unleashes a can of worms at home that I don't want to be responsible for in that way. Also, none of the activities that we do in any of our after-hour events would cause a lot of unnecessary, like it would be the same dangers of any other library program. So I feel like our insurance would cover everything. So I do see that, Nicole, and I always take that into account. And I am one of those people that makes exceptions.
Britt makes a good point too, that not every parent is a good emergency contact either.
Okay, well, thank you. And I see that there was a little bit of conversation in the chat about that, which I appreciate, of how it's kind of one of those slippery, tricky slopes of making sure teens get what they need, but recognizing the context they live in might not be the context that they are thriving in necessarily. And it's one of the challenges, and I guess the beautiful perks of teen services as a staff member is that we get to be that space for them and maybe, you know, be a little loose with rules sometimes, like Isaiah said, of trying to create that space so they have that space. With that, I do believe we are almost at time. I would really like to thank Christina and Isaiah and Elizabeth for answering all those questions on the spot and their beautiful presentations. Carrie said this in the chat, but a recording, the resources and the slides will be available on the website probably after Teen Connect. And if you want to go back or share it with some coworkers that really, you know, you learned so much from, please do so. We are about to go on an hour launch. I'm going to look at somebody to lift the schedule up and then reconvene to our next two sessions, which all those Zoom links are in the document that Carrie has emailed out. Carrie, any final thoughts?
No, I don't think so. Thank you all. This was just wonderful just to have this time to ask questions, bounce things around. And the chat was just as rich as the back and forth and the Q&A and the discussion and the presentations from all of you. So thank you so much. So everyone go, stand, stretch, get some lunch, check your email if you need to, don't check your email if you don't want to. And we will reconvene at 1 o'clock will be our session 2. And you have a choice of either joining 2A, which is claiming a space, or 2B, which is sustainable programming. So we will see you back, and then we will all come back together following both afternoon breakouts at 3:10, come back and we will do our wrap up with some fun things and some surprises, and just the culmination of the day. We'll do all that together at 3:10. So go enjoy your break and your afternoon sessions, and we will see you back at the end of the day or cross paths in a session. And I also put in there the Padlet, if you all would like to throw your information into the Padlet to be a part of any networking that continues, connect with those that have similar interests, just a reminder to do that as well. So have a great lunch, and thank you all for a great morning, and we will see you back this afternoon.